I can feel it down in my plums. When I hear a sound, a rap at the door, my young son Gabriel walks in.
Welcome back to Let the Boys Watch, an entertainment podcast brought to you by Going Gray Productions. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Robbie, and today it was a little choose your own adventure week. There was no poll this week. Benny made the suggestion about the Iron Claw, so that's what we did. So this week we watched the 2002 sports drama, The Iron Claw.
2002.
2023. Holy heck.
Almost.
My brain's on drugs. Anyway, we didn't watch a 2002 drama. We watched a 2023 sports drama, The Iron Claw, written and directed by Sean Durkin, starring Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson, Maura Tierney, Stanley Simmons, Holt McCallany, and Lily James. Alongside me is the cousin Benny. How we doing?
Doing good. I said my prayers. I ate my vitamins. I'm ready to go.
Because I feel like you're looking at me with them jealous eyes.
Elizabeth, where are you?
Elizabeth, will you marry me?
And alongside the cousin I, good friend of ours and one of our co-hosts, Ryan. Ryan, how we feeling?
I'm good. I just want to tell you guys, I'll be your brothers.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Thanks, brother. I don't have a brother, so I appreciate you being my brother.
I'll be your brother. So like Robbie said, yeah, this is Let the Boys Watch. And typically we watch movies that one or all of us haven't seen. This started just because, Benny especially has not seen a lot of popular movies. But sometimes like this week, it turns out we all haven't seen it because it just came out on streaming, The Iron Claw. So we were pretty excited to watch that. But typically, we'll come up with some kind of theme and put it on Instagram for everyone to vote on. So make sure you're following us on Instagram. It's in the show notes. And every Friday there's a poll there. Also, if you want to get involved in the conversation, please send us an email, ltbwpodcast@gmail.com, also in the show notes. And, I don't know, comment on this week's movie, 10 weeks ago movie, give us suggestions, whatever you want. And also, there's somewhere else you can get involved. Benny, tell them about it.
Yeah, please subscribe to Let the Boys Watch on YouTube. We're releasing our full episodes there. You could see the fits we chose for the week. You could see our stupid reactions to each other's dumb jokes. I got the Mega Powers t-shirt on this weekend to keep the wrestling theme going. But follow us there. Give the videos a thumbs up, comment, definitely subscribe. Ryan's got the Coheed shirt on. Robbie's rocking the Catskills sweatshirt. I mean, these are things you can only see on YouTube. So give us a follow there. It would mean a whole bunch to us.
Shout out Dirty Dancing.
Hell yeah.
Catskills. Swayze.
Best. Nobody puts Robbie in the corner.
They do sometimes.
Some people do.
And I just accept it.
That's right. Oh, corner's not a bad place to be. No one's behind you. You could see, the whole room. It's not bad.
What's your guys' stance on where you sit in a restaurant? Do you need to have your back to a wall, or are you comfortable with your back to the restaurant with like people behind you and stuff like that?
Well, I guess I'm very paranoid, and I have to get my exit strategy as soon as I get in. I think my anxiety runs wild. Shout out Hulk Hogan, but yeah, I think I need to be sitting where I can see the exit, people coming in, coming out. But I don't know. It's not a big preference. There's a couple of restaurants I sit with my back turned. Nothing's happened yet, Tony Soprano style, but we're all right.
I definitely need to, and it's funny because I always, that usually have the table, and then they have one chair, and then the booth side of the table. She likes the booth, so she gets that, and I got my back turned, and it's head's constantly on a swivel.
Your back turned to her?
Maybe next time I'll try that.
You could turn the chair around and pull an AC Slater.
Yeah.
I'll sit wherever. If someone is coming in to assassinate me, hate me now. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's partially that. I'm a big people watcher. Like I always need to observe everything that's going on. I don't know. That's just that's my thing. I'm a starer.
Yeah,
Depends
well,
on who I'm
sometimes
at the restaurant with. Like if I'm there with my wife, I want to be present. So if I'm looking out, I'll get distracted super easy. So it's better for me to be focused.
All right. Okay.
yeah, don't go up any to the during baseball season because he won't keep his eyes at you. He'll be looking down the whole time.
Only when they're playing really well. So you're not in any jeopardy of that this year.
All right, thank God.
Um, so anyway, this is not a seating preference podcast. It is a movie podcast, but I love it. Good tangent, Ben. None of us saw this movie. So, I mean, I just want to hear like what did you guys think about it going in? I know, I like wrestling. I'm definitely not as knowledgeable as you guys, so I'm sure maybe you guys maybe were a little more excited than I was, but I was pretty excited. I was curious about the movie. I knew nothing about this family. I knew zero. So I was curious to see what was going to happen.
Do you want to go? Because we're usually the ones that haven't seen it. Do you want to expound a little bit more on your
Yeah, sure.
expectations,
Yeah.
or
Good call. Good call. Yeah, I mean, again, like I didn't know anything about this family like at all. I just knew it was about wrestling. It was about like wrestling in the 70s, 80s. And I do remember watching wrestling on ESPN. I think like 3 o'clock every day, something like that. I don't think it was this specific like league, but um, it, I was excited to see that part of it because that part is always just interesting. I've said it before, I love a good come up. People start from the bottom and work their way up. Um, I knew it was gonna be kind of sad, mainly because Robbie made a comment on our award-winning show Going Gray. That something about like watching it and being depressed or something like that. So I was like, all right, so some shit goes down. All right. But other than that, that's all I knew. I knew Zac Efron got real swole for it. That's it. That's all I knew, and I loved that. I love going into a film with like no knowledge.
yeah, no expectations? What about you, Robbie?
Well, I was super excited to watch this movie. I was super excited to hear about it coming out. Obviously, I'm a huge wrestling fan, always have been, always will be. I wasn't really big into territories. I think when I was coming up, it was just heavy WWF, and then slightly thereafter WCW. So I wasn't familiar with the territories back then. Like growing up, obviously, and studying that stuff. Yeah, I kind of understand it, and I knew uh, about the Von Erichs. Nothing crazy. The backs. I just knew Kerry Von Erich as a Texas Tornado when he was in WWF, and he was the Intercontinental Champion. So I knew a lot about him, but I didn't know the backstories about the family only until recently, where you read up on the family and you see a couple of things. I think Vice had something about the Von Erichs, the Dark Side of Wrestling that I watched, and then you're like, holy crap, um, some really terrible stuff happened to the family. So I was super interesting. I was interested in seeing how they would kind of land the plane, how they would kind of, you know, tell the story. But it was a very, very interesting story. So I was looking forward to that. So yeah, I mean, obviously I know a ton about wrestling history and things like that. So I was familiar with all the Bruiser Brodies, the Harley Races, the Ric Flairs. But yeah,
He
I
was
was
in this movie?
I don't think so. I think it was fucking Dick Flair. But yeah, so I was super excited to watch. I couldn't wait to see it.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like this is something as soon as they announced it, um, I was all in on. Uh, The fact that it's made by A24, which I don't think I've seen a movie by them that I didn't like. Jeremy Allen White on an absolute heater since The Bear. I mean, even Zac Efron's a guy that I haven't seen too much of, but I feel like he's a good actor and he's like he takes his craft seriously. Um, you know, eh, he has that stigma on him from like High School Musical and all that kind of stuff. But anything else I've seen him in besides that, I think he was in Was it him that was in the Neighbors, Next Door Neighbors with Seth Rogen? I thought he
Yeah.
was really good in that. And yeah, just seeing how seriously they all took the preparation for this movie, I figured it was going to be really good. And I was excited to see it. Again, this is something that, if I want to see something, I try to avoid the trailers as much as possible. So I went in kind of blind, but obviously, like Robbie, I've seen the Dark Side of the Ring episode on the Von Erichs. There's always something being brought up about the Von Erichs if you're on into online wrestling communities where people talk about and give reactions and stuff like that. You'll hear little things about them, but watching that Dark Side of the Ring is just like, wow, when it's all put to you at one time, you realize how crazy the story was, to the point where they had to leave some stuff out because they thought it was too much tragedy for one film. But yeah, I was really excited for this one, and I was happy we got a chance to watch it here.
Yeah, definitely. Did either of you consider going to see it in the theater? I feel like there was a short discussion at some point that we should go or something like that.
Yeah, it was one of those where I was like, I'm not going to run out to see it. I'm not going to make it an absolute priority like Oppenheimer to go see it in the theater. I was a little bummed that it wasn't we're so spoiled with all these movies that came out in the theaters and streaming at first. If the right opportunity came up, I would have definitely gone and seen it in the theater, but I wasn't rushing to go see it.
Nice.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know if I was gonna go see it in the theater. I don't really care to see movies in the theater unless it's something that's out of worldly experience. So I don't know. I guess I was gonna wait for it to stream, but who cares?
All right. Well, then let's get into talking about it. Overall impressions. Does anyone want to go first?
I mean,
I feel like I just talked a lot, Ryan, so you go ahead.
All right, I'll go. All right. Overall impressions, Benny just mentioned it, and I planned on mentioning it as well. They even took out tragedy because there was too much tragedy in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, it was almost comical. At a certain point, Katie was sort of watching it, and she would kind of fall asleep or watch it. She watched the first 75% probably, and then she would pick up her head, and I'd be like, one of the brothers shot himself in the head. She's like, what? Really? And so sad because it's true story. I could not believe it. And like I said, I didn't know anything about the Von Erichs. So after this movie, I'm looking it up on the internet. I can't believe there was even more tragedy than what was in the film. Overall, I liked it. I always enjoy a good sports drama. I always enjoy a good period piece, especially 70s, 80s. But I didn't love it. I thought it was kind of a little boring. Again, I did like it. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I watched it. But I don't care to ever watch it again, to be honest. And I'm surprised. I felt like maybe halfway through, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, a lot is happening, but I feel like nothing's happening. I don't know if it was just me. I'm curious to see what you guys thought, but it didn't, stuff was happening, terrible things were happening, but I felt like there was almost no agency for anyone. I wasn't super rooting for anybody really. I mean, obviously, is the main guy Kevin is
Kevin.
the oldest Kevin, Zac Efron, but it was just this happened, then this happens, then this happened. Then I get it that so much occurred and it's hard to put, again, they took stuff out. So much occurred that it's hard to even put that in a palatable film. But I just kind of felt like it was just plot point, boom, 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 boom. All
Yeah.
right. And then sold it, and now everything's good. We're on the farm and we have a bunch of kids. Again, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I was like,
Do
went through the motions kind of.
Do you think that I mean, I feel like they made the choice to really not show the death moments.
Right.
Like the closest you get is with Carrie.
Right.
Um, do you think that had something to do with it, where like the weight was taken off some of those events a little bit?
Yeah, maybe. And I also feel like you know, I started the show with it. I love a good come up. And Kevin, when the movie's early on, you're like, all right, I'm rooting for Kevin here. He's working his way up. He's gonna be the number one contender. He's gonna get the belt, et cetera, et cetera. But then it like, and I know this is real life and how it happened, but it was just like, no, never mind, it's Carrie. And then like, Carrie gets in an accident, and then like all these like, it was kind of it was a little disjointed for me in that for that plot line where like, and I get then it shows how Kevin dealt with all this stuff and everything like that, which I also liked. I felt like Efron did a great job, like showing the just absolute broken person that he was. Um, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Maybe, hopefully, I mean, I don't want to say hopefully though, I'm not the only one, and like this can get expounded upon, but maybe I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I
About an
wonder
hour and a
too.
half.
I wonder too if like I could see where you could almost be like, well, is this about Kevin or is this about the family? But they're telling the story through Kevin, so it makes sense to give like all of the stuff that he was doing and like him kind of being, because in real life he is kind of triumphant. Like he's,
Right.
thankfully still alive. He's
Yes.
he's in a better place
Great
now.
family.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's hard to like I can kind of see if you're not invested, if you're coming at it from a place where you don't know the story, you're not invested in this story, where you could be like, well, what is it truly about? Is it just about all these deaths, or is it just about Kevin?
Yeah, and I think you probably hit the nail on the head. Like, you, judging by your reactions, you guys probably liked it more than I did because you knew so much going in, and you had some backstory and you were excited to see it, whereas I knew nothing. So it's like if they then made a movie about pizza, like I'd be super pumped to watch it. Not that you guys wouldn't, but like you going in with some excitement, and I went in kind of just like, all right, let's see what this is about. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
What were your thoughts, Robbie?
Yeah, man, this movie did not hit for me. I did not enjoy this movie. There
What?
was just, yeah, there was
Tricked me
everything just
again.
everything just felt rush. The pacing of this movie I didn't enjoy. Listen, the direction, some parts of the direction was great. I love sportatorium stuff. I love the wrestling stuff. I love the vintage, 70s, 80s feel to the movie. But I don't know. Sometimes it's tough to recreate stuff. You got Muhammad Ali. You can't recreate that no matter who's playing him, right? Will Smith did a great job probably, but you just can't recreate that stuff. And I think that I don't know what this movie was trying to do, right? I know the backstory of everybody. I already knew everything that was going to happen. I I needed some more emotion. I didn't need to see people dying. I didn't need to see that. It was sad. I understand that. I didn't need death scenes. But like everything just felt rushed, right? To when David died, and nobody's showing. They're trying to show emotion, and then the dad's like, "All right, who's facing blah blah blah." It's like, give me like 5 minutes of some David backstory, some emotional stuff on the uh on the porch. Give me something. Like everything just felt rushed. All right, Carrie's in an accident. Boom, Kerry loses his leg. Now he's spiraling. But it was just quick. It was quick. Everything was just so quick for me, and I didn't enjoy that. The Ric Flair stuff was horrendous.
Horrendous.
Horrendous. An absolute tragedy. That's the worst casting in any movie that we've done on this show. I don't care. Not the cop in Jaws, and not anybody else. That was terrible. I don't know what they were thinking,
Tiny
but
Lister in Fifth Element.
I no, Ric Flair was worse.
Right. Okay,
Eh,
good.
Like it I was so mad. I was so mad because I'm like, I'm gonna get emotional. I'm gonna be this movie. This part of directions, the old school wrestling stuff like that. Like Bruiser Brody, loved it. Looked exactly like Bruiser Brody down to the fur boots. Harley Race, I could have sworn that was the real Harley Race. That's how good it was.
Yeah.
But the Ric Flair stuff took me out of it. The way they just skimmed over things quick, like just quick. It was like Kerry's in an accident, Kerry's spiraling, Kerry's dead. I get it. It's a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. You can't go into it, but to not even show the championship match at Texas Stadium is blasphemy. All right. That is insane. I don't understand what the director was thinking, cutting things out, adding things, not adding things, to not even show a little bit of that. You know how emotional that would have been? Because everybody was there that he wins the world championship after his brother David dies. And like that was a huge thing at Tech. Like these Von Erichs were like legit royalty in Texas. And to not show that one specific wrestling match where where this whole family was about winning the world title and you don't show it, you just show his fucking mom sit on the couch. I mean, that truly annoyed me. And a lot of things in this movie really kind of annoyed me that they didn't stick to. And like, I didn't need to. You don't have to show me deaths. You don't have to show me motorcycle accidents. You don't have to show me people overdose. You don't have to show me people killing themselves. But these are real life things. Like, give me some emotion. And I guess maybe it hurt because I knew the backstory and how like the true tragedy, that I felt like some of the stuff was truly skimmed over and truly just not a lot of attention to detail with that stuff. And it kind of annoyed me and it kind of took me out of the movie.
I think too, like, I think you make a lot of really great points, and Ryan, I think you did too. I almost don't like the fact Kevin said that his father really wasn't like that. And in a movie with all this tragedy, like
Why do you need an asshole?
why did you need the father to be an asshole on top of it? I get it. You kind of want that, that, I guess,
Antagonist, sort of.
antagonist in the movie. Yeah, but I don't necessarily know that you needed it. And Robbie made another good point too, where you're talking about, can you recreate this? I mean, will say straight up, I've never watched a Von Erich match in my life, but from everything you hear, everything I've heard, it's like just the most charismatic. Like Robbie said, that they're royalty, and I don't think they necessarily did a great job with showing that. Like, yeah, they had the scenes where he was sitting in the restaurant and people were coming up to him. It was very short and stuff like that. But for me, I enjoyed the movie. I did, and like I said, I think you guys make a lot of good points, and they're like clicking for me now. But this was something where I was really just kind of along for the ride. I think wrestling lends itself to movie making, like the stories that they tell, the characters that have been, outside of the ring, like who these people actually were. It lends itself to Hollywood. I mean, just everything about wrestling tends to be larger than life. So the fact that, they put so much love into this movie, they nailed a lot of the in-ring stuff and the business of wrestling. I think I let that carry the movie a little bit for me, like just seeing how well they executed on it. I think that's why I liked it. And maybe I was missing out on some of those things where you guys were looking more plot point and story, talking about how fast they kind of glaze over that stuff. Yeah, that's hitting for me right now. But for me, I was just kind of along for the ride for this one. Like I said, it was all about the attention to detail for me, the wrestling scenes, the shape that these guys got in for this movie. I mean, Ric Flair, just that was the one moment where I was just like, of all in my head, I'm like trying to justify why they went that route with him, to the point where I was like, well, maybe they are like, you can't recreate Ric Flair. So why don't we just like tweak the character a little bit and have like a different kind of spin on Ric Flair? But it just it stunk. And he was like, Flair was like, at that time, like people wanted to like stab him. Like that's how much they hated him. Like if he showed up to your territory and it was, he was just the ultimate heel, and you didn't really get that from him. He just kind of seemed like this. He was almost like Macho Man, like where he was just like this kind of like hyper crazy guy that was out there, instead of like this cocky, over the top ridiculous person that Flair was. Yeah, but overall, like I said, I kind of went into it like I go into watching wrestling in general, where I'm like, all right, I'm not expecting Shawshank Redemption right now. I want some trashy, male soap opera action here, and I think that's kind of what I let carry this movie for me. But I did enjoy it. Not necessarily watch it again; it's just so depressing. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
And I get that. I get where you're coming from with that, but also I feel like you can't condense a story like this because it's not just wrestling. It's a family tragedy with so many layers to it that how are you going to fit that into 2 hours and 15 minutes? Make it a 10 episode, you know, Netflix show
Yeah,
or something like that. It listen, you can't cast a better Michael P.S. Hayes. You really can't. I mean, that was unbelievable. The Freebirds. There's so much backstory to those that rivalry that you didn't get. I get
yeah,
it. I understand it's not a movie about that, but that was some Georgia Texas rivalries that really cut deep. And like you said with Ric Flair, like it's not like it is now. People absolutely hated Flair. And I mean, he's so charismatic and so skillful on the mic that you can't miss that opportunity. You can't miss that opportunity to hire some bozo to ruin it. My guy, these people learn instruments and play, you know, Johnny Cash and all the stuff. Like, spend a week learning how to strut. Just give me a week with the strut. Like, come on. I mean, I'm just angry because I expected a lot more because I knew the backstory and I was like, we're gonna get a lot of great stuff here. And a lot of that stuff was just quick and glossed over, and I didn't enjoy that. It really irked me because I was expecting a lot more out of this. And maybe it's the timing and maybe that's it, but I don't know. You can't just condense this stuff. This stuff is tragedy. This who other like they have fucking 70-hour documentaries on the Kennedys because of the tragedy. This is just up there. This tragedy is terrible. 6 brothers, 5 of them dead. I agree with you, Benny. I didn't need the dad to be the villain because, like, from all accounts, he really wasn't the villain in real life. I get it. You get that kind of dad, right? That's always like on your back and wants you to do good and stuff like that. I didn't need a heavy villain, especially from the
Yeah.
dad.
yeah,
I feel like it could have been so much better if they made the dad a sympathetic character and made you feel like how fucking awful it must be to lose a son. And instead, they were just made him into this uncaring robot who only cared about the belt, where like that almost like made it comical. Like we've said a number of times about how much tragedy is in this movie. I was not sad once. I
No.
didn't tear up once, and I fucking cry at commercials. So like for me to just watch this and just have no emotions, I was like, all right. And then Robbie brings up a good point about how much of the wrestling was not great. I mean, there was good parts of the wrestling, but Ric Flair is so iconic. He transcends wrestling. To to not nail that, you need to cut all that bullshit out and just show him walking up to the ring, show him strutting a little, and that's it. None of the mic stuff. It was, yeah, I don't know. It
especially too when you're like recreating like
something that happened
yeah, and it's a promo that's like
that
been
exists.
seen, yeah, and like people know those promos from huge championship matches like that. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that they did it with that. And to your guys' point too, like it was condensed in a way where this stuff played out over a longer period of time than the movie made it seem.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably a part of the pacing with the movie where it's just like, oh, he's dead now, he's dead now, he's dead, and it happened in like, I mean, obviously, it takes place over a couple of years, but it was a little bit more spread out than that. There's another brother,
Right.
there were wives of the other brothers that were involved and
A
stuff like that.
daughter
So
that died too.
yeah, so, I mean, Kerry had kids in real life, and that's you show that picture at the end with all the people that live with Kevin, and a lot he did take in other people from the family. Like those aren't just all his kids and grandkids. Like they're from, his nephews and things like that. So I think you really nailed it when you said like this could have been like an awesome miniseries, like a 10 episode run of like hour long, 45-minute long episodes. It would have been a really big commitment, and I'm sure it would have cost a ton of money to make. And I could probably see them not wanting to put that kind of money into what people see as probably like a niche wrestling topic. Um, but yeah, you make a lot of sense where you say like people study the history of the Kennedys and like how all the tragedy that's within that family, and that's all here in this story, and it's just one family over the course of like 20 years.
Yeah, and like I know I keep bringing it up, but like you just can't gloss over the importance of that Kerry Von Erich Ric Flair championship match. It's iconic, especially in Texas, and like to do it at Texas Stadium, and for him to win after his brother died, to beat Ric Flair, right? And it's like you just show him walking out, and that's it. And like I don't know, but then you show Kevin fighting Ric Flair, and it's like for what? I get it, but it's like if it's a story about Kevin, I understand, but if it's a story about the entire family and the brothers, you have to show that that match. I don't care if it's 5 seconds, but the celebration in the stadium, everybody in the family was there. It's in Texas. Kerry's a goddamn Olympian. Safe to say, obviously, the boycott of the Moscow Olympics, but he's a hero. They're all heroes in Texas. I'm not a director. I'm a schmo, but you can't justify me not showing that match for a little bit.
I wonder if it had to do with like the fact that that would have been incredibly hard to kind of not necessarily replicate, but like scale out a stadium full of fans. And maybe it wasn't going to look good. They didn't have the money to pull it off. But you got to find a way. I mean, figure something out, even if it was just a celebration or the pinfall of the match. But yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there.
Yeah, I'm very, very passionate about that. Sorry, it hurts my heart. I was so happy. I couldn't wait for that. And when he's coming out, I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking awesome. And then they show, Mama Von Erich just, seeing ghosts in the background. And, that was it. And you hear it in the background, he wins, and then that's it. And then we gloss over it and whatever.
I
I
I
don't know.
wonder if it was kind of continuing the theme of like you're not gonna see the highest of highs and the lowest of lows because, like you said, you don't see the motorcycle crash. You only see the aftermath. You don't see any of the deaths really, and then you don't see that moment, which is like the pinnacle of their family. Like that was the moment for their family. Like that's when everything, obviously they're dealing with the death of Daniel, but that was everything that the family was built for was to win that title.
Yeah. And I like, of course, I totally understand that you can't just like slog over how long of a time frame it was from when he wins, or all the tragedy. I know you have to condense that, but like the quickness of everything, kind of just got to me. Like he wins, all right, I'm gonna go for a bike ride, and then he's in an accident, and he loses his leg. Not because of the accident, obviously it happened because he was trying to get back too quickly and damage the leg even more. But I mean, it just some of that stuff was just really stung a little bit, because I, like, again, I guess it's my fault for expecting a lot more, because I feel like when you make these kind of movies, you have a slim margin to not miss, especially with like true stories. I don't know. It's tough for me to watch true story, like movies that, have a true story. I can't watch Ali because I know Ali. And like I said, you can't recreate that. So why would I want to waste my time when I love the actual real figure? I'm not going to watch Will Smith fumble for 2.5 hours, but
You're watching it with a microscope because oh, they embellished that. Oh, what about this? They took that out. She wasn't like that. He wasn't like that.
yeah, it's tough. But I don't know. I was expecting a bit. So it stung the old, it chapped the old ass, as the kids say nowadays.
Yeah. It's like you were a book reader going into a film adaptation of that, and most book readers bitch about the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you spend seasons watching a show, and then they ruin it because they don't have the books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Quick factoid. The budget was 15.9 million. So Benny might be
That's
onto
low.
something as far as like they were saving, cost saving measures with, a motorcycle accident is costly to show or to do special effects for the crowd, whatever. Maybe. I don't know. But I feel like Robbie's right. Like there's definitely moments that they should have shown, and there's camera tricks, there's ways that they could have maybe just focused in on him celebrating in the ring or something like that. But again, like Robbie said, again, I'm just a schmo too. I don't fucking know anything. So that's my opinion. All right, should we score this, mother?
Let's do it. Wow, we've been this far and we didn't even do a score yet.
I kind of thought this was going to be a short one too.
I know, me too.
Does anyone want to go first?
I'll go first just because I don't want my score to be influenced by you guys. I go for me. Wow, I feel bad saying this, but I go 8.1 on this one. Like I said, I enjoyed the love that was put into the movie, especially by the actors. Um, you guys bring up a lot of plot holes and things that I didn't see. I just kind of enjoyed it. I was there for the ride. But talking to you guys, I mean, I obviously see the flaws in the film a little bit more, but when I finished watching the movie, I thought it was time well spent. Um, I was probably a little bit more locked in than you guys. I mean, I felt like it was two and change, and it didn't really feel like that for me. I was just kind of, it kept me engaged the whole entire time. I thought the performances were really good. That maybe covered up some of that stuff. I thought Efron was great. I thought our boy Jeremy Allen White was great. Even I gotta pull his name. Fritz Holt McCallany from Mindhunter. There are a lot of times in Mindhunter where I got like, is this dude a good actor from him in Mindhunter? But I think he really crushed this role. Like I thought he did such a great job with it. So yeah, I'll go 8.1 just because I think there was a lot of good stuff for me to draw out of this movie.
It's fair. Robbie, you want to go?
Yeah. I know Benny's not a big Holt fan. I think we talked about him in Fight Club.
Yep.
So I'm glad to see you come around on him. I don't know. I don't know. This is tough because there's a lot of movies that I've scored higher than this that I could have scored a lot lower, but I just didn't like the performances saved this movie. The wrestling saved this movie. The attention to detail with those characters in the wrestling really did save this movie. I'm gonna go 6.8 for this movie. Yeah, my first under 7. I don't know why, but I
Oh,
feel like
wowsies.
I have to do this justice. I was I was genuinely upset when this movie ended. I was very pissed off, and it takes a lot to get this boy under 7. But you did it, Sean Durkin. You did it, you son of a bitch.
Did you, Robbie, when it ended, did you say anything like audibly? Were you just like, what the fuck?
When I was watching it, I was like, come on, this stinks. I don't know. It irked me, man. It irked me. There's some scenes that truly, truly irked me. There's some performances that really irked me, and I guess it's my fault. My expectations were way too high, and that happens a lot. Whether it's a restaurant, whether it's music, whether it's anything in my life. I tend to take it personal, and Sean Durkin's on my shit list, so he's on a Mount Rushmore hate. I just added a third person.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I was as mad as Robbie after watching this, but I'm definitely didn't enjoy it as much as Benny. But I still kind of enjoyed it. There definitely, like I said, those times when I was like, what is like what so much is happening, but nothing is happening. But overall, decent. I'll go 7.0. I was thinking about going in the sixes, and I just chose to bump it just a little bit because I think the performances were good and there was some good wrestling stuff. And I always love to see, the underbelly of something, of sports or, business or whatever. So yeah, 7.0. I am kind of
Right on.
surprised. Go ahead, Robbie.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Quick.
Yeah, just quick. Like I was looking at the IMDb score, like 7.7 seems high for
Hi.
this, right? Like I'm curious. Like all the again, internet, is this a real score? Are these real reviews? We don't know, but I'm curious. Like people that really like this, and some of the reviews like eights, nines, tens. I'm like, what is going on? Did we watch the same movie?
It
That's why
was
I was
even
like, I thought I was like in the minority or something.
it was even higher on, I think, Rotten Tomatoes. I think critics was like 94.
That's
But I
wild.
mean, I think that's what you're seeing where if you go into it too critical of a movie eye, you're not going to like it. If you're going into it with too critical of too much about this story, you might not like it. And I think a lot of people fall in between those two spots where, hey, they're simple like me. You're like, I'm sitting in front of the TV. I enjoyed my time. Good. 8, 9, um, and I don't necessarily always watch things with a critical eye if I'm anticipating it. Like I was anticipating Oppenheimer like nobody's business. And I probably went into that movie without before it even started rolling at a 9. And it was only going to go up from there. But whereas a movie like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, when I don't want to, not necessarily something I want to watch, I'm going to be more critical of the movie. So I wonder if that has anything to do with people's scores.
Please, please.
Uh,
Oh
all right.
man, I don't know. I guess I agree with what you're saying, but yeah, I don't know about this movie. I never want to see the Iron Claw again.
Yeah, me neither. I do kind of want that haircut though. See if I can do the fucking
Oh, the
the
bangs.
Ken haircut or the Lego hair.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even care. Like, I know people online like criticizing some of the stuff because of how like these guys are like Carrie Von Erich was absolutely massive, and like the casting
They
was some shorter guy, Short Kings
Yeah,
stand
the
up
the
on the
big like the
president.
show. I was thinking about that in the scene at Christmas where Carrie and Kevin see each other and they have that hug. I'm like, these dudes. I mean, movie magic. They're gonna look bigger than they are, but I'm like, both these dudes are so short, and they're playing
Yeah,
like these, jocks, like these huge dudes.
How tall are
Um,
they?
the actors,
Yeah.
I think
I know
Zach Efron's.
Carrie was 6'2" in real life, and he was an absolute monster.
Well, that's what there was. I saw a quote where Jeremy Allen White saw Zach Efron and the shape that Zach Efron got in for this. He's like, "What am I doing?" He's like, "I have no business." And Jeremy Allen White was ripped, obviously
Yeah,
not as ripped as Zach Efron, but yeah, he. That was the one thing that I didn't like was like, I wish Daniel, but he was kind of like a soft body
yeah.
in this movie. I'm like, you could have put a little bit more effort into this.
No, that's what I'm saying. I feel like they could have. I'm not saying recast anybody except for Ric Flair, but other than that, I mean,
What?
I don't know because everybody else was like to the
All
T,
right.
like Bruiser Brody and like Harley Race. I again, I couldn't get
That was
over how
fantastic.
even the body shape, it was unbelievable. He looked exactly like him. It was amazing. And the Freebirds, Michael Hayes. I mean, forget about it. Phenomenal casting job. So
So in case anyone cares, Zach Efron is 5'8" and Jeremy Allen White is 5'7".
shout out, my boys.
Um, all right. Do you guys want to do characters or scenes first?
I don't want to pick. Someone pick.
Characters, real characters.
Characters. Robbie, do you want to start with favorite characters or do you want to hunt?
I'm gonna start with the least favorite character, if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead,
Let me
please.
get him out of the way. Whoever played Ric Flair, what were you doing? Who do you know in the biz that you got this movie part? Who do you know? Because I want to get those kind of connections. I was like, I was gone, completely gone. I was in another atmosphere. I was in outer space once he got on the screen and started talking. I'm like, this is embarrassing. I got secondhand embarrassment. I just, I don't know. I don't know if you had who's watching, during the casting sessions. What are we doing? I mean, isn't there some test audiences, right? Don't they do like this stuff before? Maybe recast him, or maybe just like again, like Ryan said, just don't even have him speak, right? I get you need to, but like you didn't play him up like he was just monster villain anyway, where he was like, oh my God, here comes the big bad wolf coming to town. Just don't have him speak. Just have him wrestle, and that's it, and go about your business. But if you're gonna have him speak, you have to find somebody that's charismatic. I don't need you to recreate his exact cadence, but I mean his woos. Whew,
Terrible woos.
disgusting. Like that was, and he kept on doing it. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
putting this on mute. Shut up. And it took me right out of it. It was the worst performance in the history of Let the Boys Watch for me, bar none. Not
That's
even close.
crazy. I mean, I get it, but that is a tall order.
I
Right?
100% agree. It was insulting to me as a viewer that someone watched this and was like, yeah, good enough.
Yeah. I mean,
Even people that don't like wrestling know what Ric Flair sounds like. That wasn't even close.
yeah. I mean, I wanted to
Wow.
pick this character and I wanted to add on to what Robbie said, but there's nothing else to be
We can
said. I
we
think
can you know
you
what?
nailed it.
All three of us can, for the first time ever, if you want to pick him, pick him.
He stays on the board.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Fuck it. Ric Flair, fuck him.
I will break the mold. I will go, and it's a
Typical.
shame because we just had a great performance from her, but Maura Tierney,
Thank you. I was
as Doris, like
Yeah.
she's a good actress, and I feel like they made her so cold, and like you're scared of the claw. Um, they made her so cold that like even when she has her emotional moment in the film, you're like, well, did you even care about these kids at all to begin with? And like, what are you sad about that you don't have clout, that you have kids anymore? Like, what is it? Um, and when I saw her show up in the film, I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, you'll get something good out of her. But they just went so overboard with the parents in this movie that it was like, it wasn't like, okay, there's someone to root against. It was just like, I just don't like these people. Um, Even though, like I said, I think Holt, McCallany had a great performance with what, they asked him to do. But with Maura Tierney, I was just like, anytime she had was on the screen or had a speaking part, I was like, I don't care. And I don't want to deal with this character.
stunk. She was my if Ric Flair never showed up, she was my number one because she brought nothing to the table. I don't know if it was the writing or what they wanted out of her, but again, like no emotion as well, except for that one scene. But it was already too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if she was really like that. Like one of you said that the dad wasn't really like that, allegedly. They did. Well, I don't understand why they went so hard on the parents being like uncaring assholes.
I
Yeah.
don't like I said, I don't you don't like even like Benny was saying in the beginning of the show, you don't need a villain for this story. It's not a
Oh,
villain story. And it's
life is the
stupid and
villain.
yeah, it's stupid and whatever. It's like, but like even her like she was at Texas Stadium when he won. And I know it's movie, I get it, and I'm not even nitpicking that, but it's like, what was the point of even showing her like not there? It
Yeah.
brought nothing to the movie, nothing to the character.
Save a few bucks, Robbie. That's why.
Yeah,
show
well,
show her watching it on TV. That doesn't cost barely anything.
Yeah.
that's true.
You can use the actual footage from the match because you're
Exactly.
not really seeing anything.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what I want. Yeah, and I forgot to say that too. That's what I loved. I should have gave it a 7 then. I love the graphics. I love the old school stuff.
Oh
I love,
yeah.
The transitions with were really cool.
yeah, that was awesome. And like even the old school like the true matches were fun. I love that. It brought me back to the nostalgia was great, but didn't save it. Didn't save this movie for me.
Any other Ani mentions or Ani mentions in general? We didn't do Ani mentions yet.
I don't know, man. Again, I I don't care for Zac Efron as an actor. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it was his jaw in this movie. I'm not too sure. I don't think he sucked, but again, I thought he was dry. I don't know. It was tough for me in some parts. Like, was he great in Neighbors? Of course. That's because he played those kind of parts. I just don't know. And as I'm sitting on my couch, I don't know if he's a serious actor for me, but that's just my preference. I don't hate him, but I didn't feel anything emotionally as I did with like Jeremy White or even Harris Dickinson or even the Michael character. What's his name? Is it Stanley? Stanley Simons or Simmons? Like even he was great. Like I don't know, just something about Zac Efron that really didn't, you know, didn't hit for me in this movie.
I
Same with
enjoyed him.
Simmons. Yep.
I
Or
enjoyed him.
Simons.
I'm not putting him up in like my top 10 of the performances we watched, but I think I don't know. I enjoyed him in this role, but I'm not gonna like lavishly praise him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked him, but he was the worst of the brothers. That's how I felt. Like all the other brothers, thought were better characters and better acted for the most part. But he was still good. Like I said before, I felt like there was definitely times when he showed, um, fuck, sorry, I got a ant in here. Um, he definitely showed the like, broken person really well, but uh,
I mean he's absolutely shredded to the gills.
shredded to the
Unbelievable.
gills.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. That has to be, if that's not 0% body fat, then I don't know what is 0% body fat.
Yeah, please forget about it. Maybe whatever was in Ric Flair's trunks.
Yeah.
Dude, like that's that kind when you're so ripped, like it looks like it's just everything's about to pop. Like it
Yeah.
looks like a balloon that's like completely filled. It's crazy.
Yeah, when you first saw him get out of bed, I'm like, this guy's body's gonna explode.
I'll throw out
Unreal.
Ani mentions for the dad. We mentioned him a few times, but like he was a good character, like acted well, but why did they do that? I still don't get it. Why did they make him like that?
I don't know. That's what
Because you
I'm
can
still trying to
make
figure that out.
like okay, if he was really like that, fine. But if he's not like that and you want to make him the antagonist, you can make him be the driver of his sons, like, pushing them to be better, do better, be the champion, etc. But like he was like an emotionless robot. Like nobody's crying at your brother's funeral. Like on to the next thing. Like who gives a shit? Like there's better ways to do that, I feel like.
Yeah. And it almost doesn't make sense in a way where like the brothers were so close and like
Right.
they have like that really strong sense of family, but they weren't getting it from the parents. So like they're not, it doesn't like it almost doesn't make sense in the context of the family.
Right. Whatever. Um, favorite characters. Benny, you're up first.
Oh, give me you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm sorry, guys, but give me Jeremy Allen White as Kerry Von Erich. I thought he's great. I mean, I haven't seen Shameless, but from what I've seen from him in The Bear and now this, like he's just awesome. And like Robbie mentioned, he's probably the most notable of the Von Erichs. I feel like that's the one, if you're not like in deep with their story, because he went to WWF, like that was the guy that people knew. But yeah, I thought he was great. I felt the scene where he's on the phone with Kevin, like I thought he acted the shit out of that scene. And, as kind of rush as his story was, I wanted more of it. Because I wish he was on the screen a little bit longer. So I'll go with Kerry Von Erich, Jeremy Allen White.
It's a good choice. He was
It
fantastic.
is a good choice. Hmm. Maybe I'll do that in an Ani match. I think I'm actually gonna go with Pam.
Mother
Jane.
sucker fucker.
I'm sorry. She was, but and you know what? She was the like most human character in this whole film. She was the only one that I felt any emotion about or for. Whether it was comforting Kevin and like that one scene when they first are out and he's just chomping down on ribs at the restaurant and he tells her about her brother and he almost like said it like he didn't give a fuck. And she like goes and hugs him and it's like this is what real people do. And then
Yeah.
the whole thing with, him just hiding in the office and her being like, "You coming home?" Like that was like the main driver of emotion for me in a movie where there's multiple deaths, multiple tragic deaths. That her, story was like the most emotional for me.
Good choice.
Sorry, I asked
Uh,
for Robbie.
no, she's the best. She's the best in Baby Driver. She's good in a lot of stuff. I
Great in
really
Baby
enjoy her.
Driver.
Yeah, I
Great in
really enjoy
Downton.
her. In what?
Downton Abbey.
Oh, I haven't seen that, but she's good. She's fantastic. Um, Let me go with Stanley Simmons or Simons as Mike. I really enjoyed the depth of the character that he played, somebody struggling with, wanting to do something outside of the family business, something different. I did enjoy a little backstory about Fritz being a musician. That was cool, but you know, it's tough when, your entire family's wrestling superstars or there's a family, with superstars in other, walks of life. And he wanted to go his own separate way and he really enjoyed um being a musician. I loved the way he played the character, like just an innocent character and wanting to do what he wanted to do. And it was tragic again when he got hurt. And then it's like, it's just simple shoulder surgery. And this guy's spiking a 107 fever and he just has a little brain damage. It's crazy how these things happen. But even at the end, you just saw him. I love the way he played that part after the surgery. I don't know, he was very good. Like there was a lot of emotion that I felt for him, and I felt it in the way he acted in the scenes that he was in, and it was good. I get another one. It's like, all right, I'm walking. I see you later. Now Mike's dead. I get it, but it just some of that stuff didn't sit right the way I thought the story should have been told. But I really enjoyed him as Mike. He brought a lot of depth to the character and a lot of emotion to his character in a small role, but you felt that he didn't want to be, you know, a wrestling superstar. He just wanted to do his own little thing. And tragically, you know, he dies because, he adheres to his dad's advice to become a wrestler and he gets hurt anyway doing it.
Yeah. Agree. He would have been my pick as well if you had gone first. Any Ani mentions?
I got two.
You would.
Give me Aaron Dean Eisenberg as Ric Flair.
No.
No,
Get
I'm
off the
kidding.
show.
I'm kidding. I'm
Wait.
kidding. I'll give you my joke one first. I'll see if anybody else has one. Then I'll give you my other one. But give me Maxwell Jacob Friedman as Lance. He's only in it for like 2 seconds. You barely see his face, but MJF, I'm all about.
Yeah.
He even got a little producer credit on this movie, so he probably pumped some cash into this. But MJF all day, every day. I can't wait till he's back. He was the best part of AEW. Kind of at this point hoping he goes to WWE at some point because AEW kind of seems like it's a little bit of a waste right now. But yeah, give me MJF because I'll always take more MJF in my life.
Yeah, I was like, sick wig when I saw it on the screen. Tag my man, and he wants tag by. He wants a quick tag.
That whole scene was like, I felt like, I think you're right, maybe Robbie. Like that whole scene, the way Efron was acting, like he didn't care, but was like, I don't know, it was just kind of weird. Like it just
Something
wasn't
about him.
great.
I don't know. Something about him in this performance.
Yeah. Any other Ani mentions?
I forgot the guy who played Bruiser Brody, but give me that guy. I mean, it is a small part, but I mean, he looked exactly like him, was a menace just like him. I just loved it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. Ryan, you have any Ani mentions?
I'm gonna go. I'll do an Ani mensch for what was the other brother's name? Because I liked him too.
Daniel?
David? Daniel?
Was it?
David.
It might have been David. Yeah. That
David.
was
Harris
gonna be.
Dickinson.
Yeah, that was gonna be my Ani mensch.
No, he was good. I mean, if you're puking up blood, probably should go to the hospital, guy. But yeah, no, he was good in that role. I liked him. I wish there was, just like some of the other things, like I wish that it got expanded upon. Like it was that I feel like I will, give me one scene of him in Japan. Something. Give me something.
A little
Whatever.
taste
That
test.
Yeah. Little taste.
that was gonna be my second Ani mensch. I was obviously looking forward to Jeremy Allen White in this movie, and to some extent Zac Efron, and this was the guy that, like I said, I didn't know, and he was a little not pudgy, but like his body just wasn't in like wrestler shape. So I kind of went in with a side eye with him, but by the time he passed away in the movie, I was like, damn, I kind of wish he stuck around a little bit longer because I enjoy like the three of them had really good chemistry together, and
Yeah.
even with Michael too, like they were really good together. And I could have used a little bit more of his character.
Okay.
I go with Michael Harney. Was it Bill Mercer, not the announcer, but the interviewer guy? Where's
Yeah.
he from? I feel like I've
He-
seen him in a couple movies.
I don't know where he's from, but he looked so much like Jim Ross, like a young
He
Jim
did.
Ross.
I just enjoyed that. I enjoyed the him being the announcer. Or, that was cool. Brought back a lot of Mean Gene Okerlund memories.
Oh, the best.
Truly the best. Who else? Chavo Guerrero was in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, that was cool. But that was good. Trying to think who else. Not that many. Just everybody else's.
Did you watch any of Orange is the New Black, Robbie?
That's who it is. That's who he is.
That's my favorite game to play is when someone says, "Where's he from?" And then I look at their credits and I say, "What
Oh
do
my
I
God, I
think that
forgot
they've
about him.
watched?" Bang.
I forgot about him. Thank you, man. Now that brought me right back.
There you go.
Shout out to him.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on? Do some scenes?
Scenes.
See,
Scenes. Let's do favorite scene.
Lead us
And-
off.
And I'll go first. I think I don't I want to pick like a wrestling scene, but like so many of them were like so short and a little abrupt. I think I'm gonna go honestly, this is lame, but I think I'm gonna go with the last scene with Kevin with his two sons. Just finally some actual emotion around this place. And even then I was kind of just like, yeah, all right, good. But yeah, I like that scene. That was nice. I'm glad that at least, and then it also kind of makes me feel good about like him as a real person, because this is a true story. And then looking it up after, I'm like, oh my God, it was even worse for this guy.
Yeah.
So at least he had a happy ending of sorts. So I'll go with that.
Crazy to think like you can have all that stuff happen to you and find a way to like get to a
Yeah,
point in your life where you're not,
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know him. I don't know how, I'm sure there's still depression there and stuff like that, but he found a reason to keep going after all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I don't know what the man is dealing with on a personal level every single day when he wakes up, but at least he seems like he has a purpose in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I could handle that.
No, that's
Oh,
crazy.
that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
I'm gonna go. I'll go.
Yeah,
Go
go.
ahead.
Give me the Tom Sawyer montage scene. I mean, forget
That
about
was
Yes.
a
it.
good. That was a good one. That's it. Now that's a montage.
That's a montage.
That's a
Please forget about
montage.
it. Boys, lifting some weights, the fabulous Freebirds. I mean, forget about it. What a fantastic scene that was. Training and all that stuff like that. I mean, you suck me in with a sports montage scene. I mean, I'm hooked. I'm
Training.
in.
Love it.
I'm all in Rocky 4. Forget about it. Creed. I'm in. Major League 1. I mean, come on. Give me the montages. Give them to me all day. Love Tom Sawyer, the song. Hate Tom Sawyer, the book. Other than that, just enjoyed it. I mean, say less with the boys working out. Say less with the wrestling. I mean, I love it all, and that's what I wanted. That's what I needed. That's what I yearned for, and that was my favorite scene in this movie.
Such a great transition into the montage too, where Michael has the album, starts playing it, and Carrie hears it, and then it goes full blown montage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just very well done.
that was a full
Um,
B montage.
Oh yeah. One thing, real quick. Speaking of Rush and Tom Sawyer, I feel like the first act, I guess, the first couple minutes of the movie, I was like, this soundtrack is fucking nuts. Like, this is a good soundtrack. And then, like, after Tom Sawyer, I think there was like maybe one other good song, and it just kind of like was whatever. The
they
whole
blew
rest of
all
the
the
movie.
they blew all the 50 million on
Oh, they
getting the
blew
rights
that
to those
load in
songs.
like
Oh, I
three
know they should.
songs in 10 minutes.
That's the issue.
Yeah, I mean,
um, my favorite scene was, I mentioned it earlier a little bit, but I don't know why this scene stuck out to me so much, but the phone call between Kevin and Carrie, I thought was super well done. I mean, that was, you see, I think that was probably Efron's best moment in the film. Like, you see the concern, and then you're getting all that emotion from Carrie. I thought it was believable. And the fact that it leads into, very shortly after the death, and you have that kind of that explosion. I think that's where most of the emotion in the film was for me. I think that's when I was really like, if I was going to get teared up at any point in the film, it was between that and the scene that you mentioned, Ryan, with Kevin just breaking down in front of his kids. Um, but I love the phone call, and then him calling his dad again, like, so stupid to make the dad so uncaring there. Like,
settle it between you two.
I like, what, settle what? Like, the dude is like, is suicidal, but it's, for me, it was more about the performances from the two of them, and then the emotion. I just thought that whole stretch was really good of the death scene for Carrie, and then going into like the version of heaven of him meeting up with his other brothers, and then seeing the young brother that died maybe before he was born. It was emotional. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm not. I know what you mean. Like, it's kind of corny to have like the afterlife scene, but I don't know. I thought it was a nice way to kind of break up with how tense the scene was between Kevin and the dad, to like just kind of break that up a little bit. But I thought that whole stretch for me was probably my favorite.
But you don't like what's his name story arc in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh,
Okay.
please, that guy, Kevin Kenny. Who was he? He stinks.
Ani Menches?
I'll give it on. You mentioned the Harley Race promo and
Oh,
the Harley
please.
Race the match. I thought Robbie, you nailed it. Like that was Harley Race. I don't care what anybody says. Like and that's what kind of makes the whole Ric Flair thing seem so like such a kick in the balls. It's like, dude, you nailed Harley Race, which is like very not obscure. Like if you're a wrestling fan, you know who Harley Race is, but like nailed it completely.
Nailed
10
it.
out of 10 with Harley Race. And but then Ric Flair, which is like you could have had a shitty Harley Race and an insane Ric Flair, and I would have been like, who cares? It's Harley
Yeah.
Race. Like no one gives that much of a crap. But yeah, the Harley Race promo, just the way that they did, the way that it was shot, and I thought they were trying to hide it a little bit. The way it was like kind of you're watching it through the TV screen, a little bit of a glare. But then when they actually go in and you have that live shot of Harley Race, and you're like, holy crap, that is Harley Race. Um, that was just one of those kind of standout moments for me.
Yeah, that was cool. I thought that was the real Harley Race giving the real promo from
Right.
back then.
Yeah, like
That
they were
was good.
using the footage.
Um, I'll go with the the first sportatorium scene where they pull up with the little "Don't Fear the Reaper." I mean, come on.
That was
But
awesome.
I just love when they pulled up, and then it was just so cool to see like the sportatorium and the neon lights. And I don't know if they were neon, but it's the lights. I was like, that's fantastic. I love stuff like that. And when you nail stuff like to a perfection like that. And then I just love the quick, them going over the match and how it was gonna end and what the moves they were gonna do. I think that's cool to see that. So that was fun.
Yeah, I think that like I kind of mentioned early on, like I really enjoyed how they nailed all like the behind the scenes stuff with how the territories worked and setting up the matches, and just a lot of the stuff that you don't see as a fan. Like now you know a lot more about it because of the internet and stuff like that, but that was, again, to me, that was one of the things where they really put the attention to detail in.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, especially like you said, like now they're all friendly and talking about the matches, but back then you had no idea. You thought that stuff wasn't scripted or nobody even knew what was going on. So I like that little touch, and it was cool.
You know what I really enjoyed too? The how real they made the wrestling scenes, like not in the fact that, oh, this looks like professional wrestling, but like you always kind of thought, like, and that's when wrestling is good, is like, do these guys really hate each other? Like, is he really hitting him? Is he really like pissed off? And it pays off at the end of the movie where Kevin kind of goes rogue on Ric Flair, and was holding on too long and like actually hitting him. But I thought that they made the wrestling scenes like really, like when Kevin takes the back bump on the concrete, and you're like, oh shit, did he really get hurt there? And the selling and all that kind of stuff like that. I thought they did really well with that.
What the hell
Yeah.
was that?
You
I
saw
didn't
that
do anything.
thumbs up thing?
Yeah,
It's I think it's like when you do certain things, it'll do a little effect.
I didn't get that. All this money for nothing.
um, I'll save it for our next segment. Any other Ani matches? All right.
Well, thank you.
Least favorite scenes.
I mean, please.
Oof.
Who just went last?
Robbie or
Bobby.
me?
No, you did.
Yeah, go ahead, Benny.
Benny did.
I'll leave it up to you, Robbie. I'll let you take care of our dirty work here, and I'll say the first Maura Tierney scene when she spoke, and it was just so callous, and I was like, what the like what, like, not that I even knew who their parents were to begin with. It just was so unnecessarily cold, and it put a bad taste in my mouth for her character. And obviously that's what they were trying to do, but like we said multiple times in this episode, like I didn't need that. The like Ryan said, the world is the antagonist in this, life is the antagonist in this. um and I don't know, maybe it was because when I saw it was her, the second you hear her voice, it's her. And then for her to just be such an unlikable character, I was like, this sucks.
Was that the scene where she's getting ready for church and he's
Yeah.
just like, he needs to go easy on
On Michael.
Michael, and she's just like, I don't give a fuck. We'll go to
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
Go get ready. Robbie?
I'm not going to do it. I'll save it for Ryan. He's going
Okay.
to pick it. Because I talked about this at length a lot, and it still hurts me and irks me. It's not showing my least favorite scene is the Ric Flair Kerry Von Erich title fight. Again, I'm not going to go into tons of detail because I did a 15-20 minute rant on it before, but you have to show that. You have to figure out a way to show that. It's an iconic moment in Texas wrestling history. It's an iconic moment for the Von Erich family. And it's an iconic moment because it features Ric Flair, who was just going from territory to territory, destroying everybody. It's a must-watch scene that needed to be shown. Fuck your budget. Just give me something, like Brian said, play some tricks with the camera. Show it.
You know what's crazy too with the Ric Flair character? It's like, what did you hire this guy for? His impression sucks. He doesn't really look like Ric Flair. And it's not like you casted him because, okay, like, all right, we're going to let those two things slide, but he's a good wrestler and he's really going to capture the essence of who Ric Flair was in the ring. And you got this is over 3 on that.
Oh, for the century. Nothing. He brought nothing.
They should have went Irishman style and just hired Ric Flair
Yeah.
and just
Oh, God.
CGI'd his body with like a 1970s, 80s Ric Flair.
Yeah.
You want to see some bad stomps. You
Yeah.
got some bad stomps.
Tell me about
Imagine the strut on that
Oh,
fake
Ah.
body. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I'll pick it because we have to. But yes, of course, the promo is disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful for Ric Flair. But also the scene after Kevin held on too long with the claw, he comes in at great match. His demeanor and the way he said things was so off-putting. Hey, we should go get a drink. What can we get drunk around here? I'll be at the Holiday Inn. All right. Out.
Yeah. I mean, 100% who Flair was, but it never felt like
No,
Flair.
that felt awful. And you know what? Maybe in real life that he was more like that, and that's what this actor was trying to portray. And I'm thinking of the, promo Ric Flair, the wrestling star Ric Flair. But that's what we want. That's what the people want. Give it to us.
Yeah.
Please.
And the other thing I wanted to say was the one thing that they nailed about Flair though was the hair. Perfect.
But the
Perfect
hair
Flair
was good. I'll give him that.
And I don't know, obviously there wasn't a lot of blood in the movie, but to have the bleach blonde Flair hair with all the blood in it is just such a perfect little kiss, because that is like an iconic thing about Flair. It's just like him being bloodied in the face and his just hair is just completely red from all the blood. And I love that they got that into the movie. Again, you nailed that. How do you nail that? And then like, I don't know.
How do you get blood from this? His nails?
Oh, because I think he like that's what I was kind of saying. Where I mean, it could have been the wrestling thing where he cut himself
Cut himself, yeah.
earlier.
Possible, yeah,
because
that's
he had blood on him already when he put the claw on him.
That's
or
true.
I thought too, like it was when Kevin kind of snapped and he probably really did hit him in the forehead
Yeah,
and
you're right.
made him bleed.
Okay. I'm at the Holiday Inn. Come see me. Whatever he said. Whatever hotel. Any Yanni mentions?
Your least favorites?
Say anytime you mentioned Maura Tierney, but anytime the dad was expected to give any emotion and just said, that's between you and your brothers.
Yeah, so bad.
Fuck out of here.
And like I said too, I thought out of everything I've seen him in, like this was his best acting performance for me.
He was great.
It felt the most natural. Like that's where I said, like in Fight Club and in Mindhunter, there's always something that just didn't feel authentic to me with him. But I think he nailed it in this. But it's just the character sucked.
Yeah.
Shout out Mindhunter season 3 though. Never coming, but we can pray.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's all I got. We're getting along here.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I feel like we've said it throughout this episode, but is there anything specific you guys want to mention on how to make this film better?
For me, go ahead.
Oh, quick. Sorry. Just more jaw. And that's Jeremy Allen White. Please give me some more jaw. I'm just all about Jeremy Allen White. I think he's fantastic. I think he was fantastic in Shameless. I think he's fantastic in The Bear. I would have liked it to be this movie more centered around him. I get it for the story, but I mean, Harry was the true dog of the family, and it would have been nice to get a more backstory. Just give me a Carrie Von Erich story and have him do it. I think it would have been fantastic just to have that. There's a lot of layers to it, but go with the people that have it, right? And he has it, and his acting has it, and every time he was on the screen, you felt it, and that's what I wanted out of a lot of the characters that I feel like I didn't get.
For me, again, something we talked about multiple times, but the parents just being like emotionless robots, like why? I didn't need that, and especially the fact that like Kevin came in real life. Kevin came out and said like, yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is true, but the one thing he specifically called out is that that's not how his father was, and he said, I get it. It's Hollywood,
A
but
movie. Yeah.
you didn't need it. I don't understand why you needed him to be such an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with both of you guys. Also, I think we also know a recasting of a certain figure. I do have a way also that we can make this film better, and that is by playing America's favorite new game. And that's what do we change it to? What's his name?
Working overtime.
Working overtime.
What's his
Casting the
name?
crumb.
The crumb.
Crummels.
We call it crumb cakes. No, casting Matt Damon in a role that we make up or a role that exists just because we love Matt Damon. Does anyone want to go first? Well, Benny, do you want to go first? I like when we leave Robbie for last. I don't want to put pressure on him, but he is usually
I like
I'm
leaving
not
Robbie for
gonna
last.
get my pick, but go ahead.
You will. You may, because I'm gonna go with give me a domineering, a macho, a egomaniac Matt Damon as Vince McMahon. You
Oh,
want a real true antagonist in this film. You give me Matt Damon as Vince McMahon, who is aggressively buying out all the territories. And he ends up being the one. I know it's not how it happened, but it's a movie, we're taking liberties. He's the one that ends up buying NWA and somehow screws Kerry over and says, "You're fired, pal." So give me Matt Damon as Vince McMahon.
Love it.
Robbie, I want you to go next because I don't want your pick to get stolen.
All right, this is no, this isn't anything flashy. This isn't anything trashy. This is all classy. Give me
Splashy.
it's flashy. Give me a young, lean, mean, bleach blonde, long hair from the Carolina State. Give me
Limousine riding,
jet flying.
wheeling dealing.
It's stealing?
It's son of a gun. Rolex wearing. Forget about it. Please give me Matt Damon as Ric Flair. I mean, forget about it. I mean, you could have gave me Corky from Life Goes On as Ric Flair, and I would have thought that was fantastic with the other guy they just hired. But just imagine Matt Damon taken to the extreme. I mean, shredded to the gills. Forget about it. I mean, you wouldn't have to stuff his briefs. That's true. That's long. That's strong. That's Damon. I mean, forget about it. All I want is somebody that can act, You don't have to pay him that much. I know the budget was low. He's in for 5 minutes, in and out. Just imagine the promo. He would have nailed the promo. He would have took it to heart. He would have studied. He would have studied the strut. He would have studied Flair's mannerisms, Flair's cadence. He would have did all of it, and he would have dominated the role, and it would have sent this movie into the stratosphere. And I would have gave it a 10, but instead I gave it a 6.8 because this movie chat my ass, and I really never want to watch it again. And I'm mad that I wasted 2 hours and 50 minutes of my life. Anyway, give me Matt Damon as Ric Flair.
Woo. Woo. I'm glad
Woo.
I let you go first because and I just realized a Robbie 6.8 is like a real life like 3.2.
Yeah.
That's a low score.
Yeah.
The lowest of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All time. Give me an older, still handsome, driven, less manipulative Matt Damon as Fritz and make him an enjoyable, sympathetic character rather than a piece of shit that he was.
Love it.
Yeah.
He hugs all of his sons and says, "It's not your fault."
It's not your fault.
Oh my God, please. Oh
It's not
my
your fault.
God. Talk about emotion.
Something.
That's how you nail it.
Neither one of them gave any fucks about their other kids or themselves when one of their brothers died. Don't cry.
No.
Take off your sunglasses.
Yeah, it was like Doris was like, Fritz, your fifth kid died. How come there's no dinner on the table?
Yeah, basically. I'm gonna go move some hay around.
Like, come on.
Stupid. Anything else that anyone wants to say or needs to be said about the Iron Claw?
I think we covered it all in this one. This is a long ep for such a movie I did not think that was going to take up this much time.
Yeah, for like a very kind of a shallow movie, to be honest. Not it's just not a deep movie.
Coulda, shoulda, been.
All right. Well, let us know how we did, what you thought. I mean, this just came out on streaming, so if you want to spend 2 hours 15 minutes getting angry, please check it out. And send us an email or send us an Instagram message or comment on the YouTube right down there. It's very easy. Subscribe, all that fun stuff. We love it. We appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Robbie, tell him good night.
Good night, Maura Tierney. Next time you want to mail it in, just go to the post office.
Good night, Dick Flair.
Down in my lungs.
Whoa.
When I hear a sound, a rap at the door, my young son Gabriel walks in. My wife says, "No, Gabriel, leave." I said, "No, let the boy watch. Let the boy watch. He needs to learn the way I learned from my father, the way he learned."